Great, thank you. So I'd like to call this regular council meeting of December 9, 2025 to order with adoption of the agenda. Someone want to make that motion? Council Palmer, Council Lucio, all in favor? Motion's carried. We have a long meeting today, so I'd like us to get done as efficiently as we can. Just giving that notice. Adoption of the minutes of the regular council meeting of November 25th. Someone make that motion, Councilor Devlin, Councilor Palmer, all in favor? Motion's carried. Any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none, I'll move on to item 5, development permit amendment. So, Mr. Simon, do you have a brief overview on this, please?
Your Worship, Ms. Hogan is here and she can give a...
Miss Hogan, wow. What kind of trouble can we get into?
Not much.
I'll leave it to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this is an application for an amendment to an issued development permit. It was VP 2023-007 and a new development variance permit application for the Cabot residence. So the subject property is located at 3124 Mosey Road and it's zoned CV02, Comprehensive Development Zone 2 is in our zoning bylaw. The property is designated as resort lands in the official community plan and it falls within the Revelstoke Mountain Resort Development Permit area. The original development permit for this property was issued for the form and character of 6 multi-unit residential buildings with 79 dwelling units. There was also a DVP previously issued for the development, and this was issued to reduce the total parking spaces required from 152 stalls to 109 stalls. So the application presented today is to amend the original DP from 6 multi-unit buildings with 79 dwelling units to 1 multi-unit residential building with 9 dwelling units and revised development plans, which include a reduced massing and removal of some of the exterior balconies, revised driveway access and parking layout, updated exterior cladding, addition of accessible entrance at the front door, and revised landscaping plans. So the applicant is also requesting a development variance permit to reduce the off-street parking requirements from 18 spaces to 9 spaces for the proposed development. So staff recommend approval and issuance of both the variance and the development permit and have determined that the development permit aligns with the DPA guidelines of the official community plan and that the variance will have no impacts on reduced operations.
All right, thank you. So just with the parking, so that's underground parking, is that correct?
To your worship, that's correct.
Oh, thank you. And with that, so basically people will be able to park a vehicle plus there's space to park a golf cart.
To your worship, correct, there is space for one vehicle, a golf cart, and bicycle parking.
Okay, what about motorcycles?
Sorry?
What about motorcycles?
I'm sure you could fit that one there too.
Okay, I just want to ask, right? All right, council, any questions before I ask for motions to be put on the table? Councilor Cherry.
Thanks, just to the chair. I'm just curious about DCC rates, as this is an amendment that we currently restricted to paying the original DCCs that were approved 2 years ago out of the old rates. And if that is the case, if they were to start building additional units here as the previous DVP had listed, will those be paying the new rates?
I'm going to go to Mr. Simon.
Whichever.
Or Ms. Hogan, do you have that answer?
Through the chair, I might actually prefer this to Mr. Simon.
Okay.
Through your worship, the previous DP, when it was issued, it wasn't considered an in-stream application because an in-stream application qualified for old DCCs needs to be in-stream and so not decided upon yet. So because it was issued, it was never qualified as in-stream. There's been no building permit application that would be submitted that will qualify it as in-stream. And the development permit amendment now will be issued after the DCC bylaw has been adopted. So they will be subject to the new DCC rates.
Great.
Thank you.
Follow up?
Nope.
Nope. Anyone else? Someone want to put the first motion on the table for me, please? Councillor Devlin.
I will move that development variance permit be issued at 3124 Camosi Road. For the following variances, the zoning bylaw number 2406, section 10.2.12, minimum parking requirements, multi-unit dwelling to reduce the number of parking spaces required for a multi-unit dwelling from 18 to 9 spaces.
Seconder for the motion, please. Councillor Cherry. Any further discussion on this motion? Councillor Palmer.
Thank you, Mayor Solis. I'll be in favor of the motion with a little bit of reticence just on the parking thing. So it's these little incremental things that continue to cause problems in the future. And even though this is relatively trivial, it would seem, it's the cumulative effects of these parking variances. So I look forward to getting that whole parking thing, which we've talked about many times, getting that settled. I don't really have a good grasp on how it's affecting the resort lands. Other than there's more and more demand for traffic up there, and that ties, of course, to our transit system and how we're functioning. So I'm just noting that
Sure.
In that context. Thank you.
Good. Any other comments? Councillor Devlin.
Just a quick question through the chair to our engineers. I may be understanding this wrong, so please correct me if I am wrong. Because this was a CD zone, the parking requirements when we did our overall zoning rewrite were not changed, I assume. And if this was, let's say, new, like under one of our regular zones, the parking would fall in line for this sort of development? Or am I wrong about that?
Mr. Simon.
Through your worship, Councillor Devlin, so it wouldn't meet the requirements of the updated regulations because that's based on number of bedrooms. If it was only 1-bedroom units, then it would. But the CD2, the resort zone, has specific minimum parking requirements within it. That said, that zone needs a review of those requirements, especially as the resort has been fine-tuning their overall parking strategy. So you can see last year, the addition of the paid parking lot that has over 400 spaces in there, and then now the lot that would be to the west of that, on the west side of Camosi. Again, ample overflow parking. They've established parking further to the south as well. So based on the numbers in the report, I believe they're hovering around 1,800 some odd parking spaces. And also this year as well, and last year, they've had attendants out to make sure that people are utilizing the parking spaces rather than over parking and creating a half parking space between each stall there. So at this point, staff don't have really major concerns, and we would like to continue working with the proponent to amend their CD zone to have parking requirements that are more reflective of what's appropriate for the scale of development.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, I'm not particularly concerned about a variance in 9 parking zones by any stretch of the imagination, but I do kind of agree with Councilor Palmer on that were this to continue without some sort of overview, it could become a problem. Though 1,800 parking spots is a lot in the off season, it's really not a lot in winter season. So again, not specific to this necessarily, just in general comment.
Good. All right. Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? No, motion's carried. Item number 2. Someone put that on for me, Councillor Devlin.
I will move that the amendment to development permit DP 2023-007 be issued at 3124 Camosi Road for the form and character of a 9-unit stacked row house development.
Seconder for the motion, please. Councillor Lusal. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. On number 3. Councillor Devlin.
Move that the owner provide security for the due and proper completion of landscaping in the amount of 125% of the amount identified in the cost estimate to the city of Revelstoke in the form of cash or unconditional, irrevocable, auto-renewing letter of credit issued by a Canadian Chartered Bank or credit union prior to issuance of the building permit.
Seconder for the motion, please. Councillor Lusal. Any further discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. I prefer cash because then I get to rolling it in the vault, but we'll leave it at that. So Ms. Hogan, if you can make that suggestion.
Of course. So
Thank you. All right, I'm just going to move on to announcements from the mayor. Just to make note, this is the last council meeting prior to the Christmas break. We are going to be, for the holiday season, closed end of the day on December 19th and reopening on January 5th. So just a note on that. Again, I'm tooting the horn of our Santa Claus parade. It is this Sunday, or this Saturday, pardon me, the 13th, starting at 4 p.m. And I just encourage the community out for that. And council, if, I'll have a vehicle in there. If council wants to join me and hand out candy canes and that sort of stuff, I'd be happy to have you come out and help with that. Community Christmas dinner is coming up and they are looking for donations. So if anybody's able to donate to that, they have a website and e-transfer. The CPKC holiday train is here coming in on the 17th. It'll arrive at 2:15 p.m. and the show will start at 2:30. So just letting the community know on that. And for councillors who are interested, I do have 2 tickets one way from Revelstoke to Sicamous. So if one of you or a couple of you want to go to Sicamous, you have to find your own way back or not. It depends on how you feel. But those are available if you can let me know. All right. Thank you for your time and listening to those notices. We're going to go on to recommendations. So RCFC Holding Company had their AGM. And so if someone can put this motion on the table for me, please. Councillor Cherry.
Thanks, just pulling it up.
Okay.
Is this something I recommend or committee recommends?
Committee or CFC.
The committee recommends.
Because they, or the board, pardon me,
Yeah.
CFC board, and the word, make sure it's 2025 annual general meeting.
Perfect. I move that the board approve that effective on the requirements of the retirement of the following directors at the 2024 annual general meeting.
2025.
2025 annual general meeting of the Revelstoke Community Forest Corp, RCFC Holding Corp, Company Limited, Garrett Saltz, Lonnie Parker, Bill Beard, Rob Elliott, Jackie Ryan, and Nicole Schreiber.
Okay, someone want to second that, please? Councillor Lucille. Any discussion on that? Councillor Palmer?
Thank you, Mayor Souls. Thanks for clarifying the 2024, because I found that a bit alarming, actually. So could you clarify what's happening here? We had three previous councils.
Yeah, so Ms. Floyd, we didn't do this properly over the past couple of years. Is that correct, as far as retiring members and putting the new members on?
That is correct. So typically at the AGM in the RCFC board would make this recommendation and then send us the minutes so that council could approve it. It didn't actually come to us to bring it to you. And so this is kind of a two-part because now we have 2 additional members that have replaced members in the meantime. So number 2 is amended from the April AGM, if that makes sense.
And it'll bring everything up to date.
Yes.
Okay, and then the motion, is it reading that the board? Who's
So the board approved this, so now it's council should approve this.
It should be the board recommends to council.
Apologies.
Technically, we're a board.
So we'll note that change if the mover and seconder are okay with it. Okay. Any further comments?
Mayor Souls, just out of principle, I think there's a number of sort of irregularities on the governance of this. I won't go into detail here, but I'll be opposed to the motion.
Okay. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Note the Councillor Palmer is opposed. Balance of council's favor. This motion has passed. Number 2. So I'll put that on for me, please.
Sure.
Councillor Dillon.
I'll move that the board I'll move the council hereby appoint the following individuals as directors of the company for a term to expire at the next annual general meeting of the company or until their successors are elected or appointed, subject to the provisions of the articles of the company as per the list provided.
Okay, second for the motion, Councillor Lucio. Any further discussion on this motion? Councillor Palmer.
Thank you, Mayor Souls. Is there that annual general meeting, so that already occurred?
Correct.
And is there minutes for that? And were they circulated to council?
Ms. Floyd, no, I don't believe you received the minutes, did you?
I did receive the minutes right when I got this recommendation on Wednesday last week. They can be added to the next agenda if you would like, Councillor Palmer.
Mayor Souls, I'm going to move that this be deferred to the next regular meeting so that we have complete information.
Okay, is there a seconder for deferral? Councillor Devlin's going to second it, so we'll move that. I'll call a question. All those in favor of deferral? Okay, those opposed? So, Councillor Orlando, are you in favor or opposed?
In favor.
Can
Can you hear me okay? I'm in favor.
Okay, you're in favor of deferral? All right, so that passes. It'll be deferred to the next meeting. So in opposition is Councillor Cherry and Mayor Sauls. Okay, we are going to move on to Finance Committee meeting. So Ms. Moore, do you have just a brief overview on this?
Through the chair, this motion relates to the year-end holiday party that occurred at the end of November. The Finance Committee recommended to contribute $2,000 on behalf of the council, and so now it is before council for approval.
Okay. So someone want to put the motion on the table for me, please? Go ahead.
I'll move the $2,000 be reallocated from the council budget to the Municipal Employee Association Fund for the Revelstoke Employee Christmas Party.
Seconder for the motion, please, Councillor Cherry. Any further discussion on the motion? Councillor Palmer?
Just a quick question. I'm trying to remember, is this something that we routinely do every year?
Ms. Moore, we do, yes.
Through the chair, yes, this is something that routinely happens each year by way of policy. It was brought forward as a report to the Finance Committee, so I let the committee know whether they feel comfortable with staff just following the policy per language, or if they wanted to make a motion.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further comments? Saying none, I'll ask the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Moving on to 9 bylaws. Someone want to put the first motion on the table? Councillor Cherry.
I move that fees and charges amendment bylaw number 2424 be adopted.
Seconder for the motion, Councillor Palmer. Any further discussion on the motion? Saying none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Moving on to item B, zoning amendment bylaw 2430. Someone put Councillor Cherry.
I move that zoning bylaw number 2530 be read a third time.
2430.
2430, correct.
You read a third time. Seconder for the motion, please. Councillor Devlin, any further discussion on this motion? Saying none, all is in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Number 2 on that, please. Councillor Cherry.
I move that zoning bylaw number 2430 be adopted.
Is there a seconder for the motion, please? Councillor Palmer, any further discussion on the motion? Councillor Cherry.
Just curious if there was anything additional from council after they've had their 2 weeks to reflect on this.
Any comments from council? Councillor Palmer.
Just appreciate that time between the second or third reading before adoption. That's for that statement. I think that's basically what Councillor Cherry is referring to. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Moving on to traffic and highways bylaw. Mr. Gibbs, do you have a brief overview on that?
Yes, Your Worship, I can give you a brief overview. So the bylaw in front of you today for consideration is an updated version of our traffic and highways bylaw. The content of the bylaw does not vary significantly from our current bylaw. However, it has been updated to reflect current legislative references. You'll notice in the current traffic and highways bylaw, it states municipal act, which has been long since repealed. So this has all been updated into the current bylaw. You will notice that there was no additional language added in there relating to paid parking implementation. That is something that would be considered at a future date. as a part of a separate parking management strategy that staff are currently undertaking with the help of consultants. So the bylaw in front of you today is really to bring it up to current needs and standards. We've added in additional language relating to the new e-bikes that are starting to be seen regularly around town to make sure that those are safely regulated where they can be ridden, things along those nature. Additionally, we created a logging truck route, which is already informally in practice. This is again to try to keep them from going through downtown. Beyond that, it is predominantly just updating it to meet current needs. The previous bylaw that we currently have in place is from 1992. It has only had one minor amendment since the adoption of it, which was to add in some additional language around snow clearing for businesses, as well as adding in a definition of a peace officer. So as you can imagine, a bylaw from 1992 is fairly out of date. So this is again just to bring it up to current standards. Staff did prepare this in comparison to other municipalities' traffic and highways bylaws to make sure that we're following standard practice. And legal review has been completed on this bylaw as well. So accompanying this bylaw, you'll also see amendments to the bylaw offense notice bylaw and the municipal ticket information bylaw to reflect the updates and changes to the new offenses under the new traffic and highways bylaw. But again, I do want to highlight there's no significant changes in current practices beyond extending the parking from 24 hours to 72 hours. Again, that is in relation to the feedback we received from the public on concerns around the 24-hour parking limitation in city streets.
Great. Any comments from Mr. Tips on the parking or bylaw? Anyway, go ahead, Councilor.
Thank you, Mayor Solz. Just a question when it comes to definitions. Under the cycle definition, you have, I'm assuming, added motor assisted cycle, which is then individually defined later in the bylaw. I'm just wondering why motor assisted cycle was added to the cycle definition.
That was just again at the recommendation of our legal team. I couldn't tell you the specifics on it, but again, that was just mainly the recommendations from our legal.
Okay, just to follow up on that, my concern is like under 9.2, it has wording in there that you can't drive a motor vehicle, herd animals, or ride a cycle along any sidewalks, parks, pathways, or boulevards. And I think pulling that motor assisted cycle into the cycle definition, then to me sounds you can't ride any e-bikes anywhere within parks. And I don't know how that's going to then affect bylaw enforcement when it comes to that.
Comment, Mr. Chips?
I can say, I can hear what you're saying there. These type of offenses would be on a complaint basis. So it's predominantly the concern is going to be if somebody is riding erratically in one of our parks, then obviously it does create a safety concern. So that is something we would then address. It's not to say we're going to be out there ticketing people just because they are riding their e-bikes through the parks. Again, stay on the paths, ride respectfully. As long as it's being abided by and it's not creating a dangerous situation, then we're not going to be out there actively ticketing people for that unless it is, like I said, complaint based.
Yeah, that's fair. My recommendation would be removing motor assisted cycle from the cycle definition as it's defined later within the bylaw, and then just having that added in where we need it.
Mr. Jip's comment, but if it's been vetted through legal, I would suggest we leave it where it is. But comment.
Yes, Your Worship. It has been vetted through legal. If we were to make amendments, then we obviously best practice would be to send it back to legal, but it is at the discretion of council if you'd like us to make some changes.
Councilor Palmer.
Thank you, Mayor Solz, and thank you to the manager, Gibbs. Councillor Lucio brings up some interesting points, and I've been thinking about, the evolution of electric assisted things.
Right.
So, for example, I'm in the process of purchasing an electric tram of which I can ride on. So am I allowed to use that on a sidewalk? I say that actually tongue in cheek. That's not, but it's this blurriness of electric vehicles and when they become a vehicle. And so we have electric vehicles or electric bicycle-like things that are traveling on the road, vice versa. I don't think we'll answer it, but I think that whole thing is continuing to evolve as and new problems. I don't know if there's any sort of general comments. I'm not particularly concerned with answers right now, but just on that evolution of where these things might might go as far as that blurriness of electric vehicles versus other electric things, bicycles or other devices.
So, is that understandable? I'm a little confused on that, Councilor Palmer, but, can you just enlighten me on how you feel or what we have written here kind of works with that, or it blurs the line too much that it's going to be, interpreted wrong?
Fair, Mayor Souls. I can leave it for now. I think it's a question. I think Mr. Gibbs is understanding what I'm saying there. And maybe I was being too ambiguous on, because I think that's the ambiguity of vehicles. That's what the problem is. And we're seeing more and more of that. And the question to citizens is what are the rules of the road for electric vehicles, whether that be a bicycle or something that's closer to a motorcycle or other devices that are evolving all the time. I can leave it for now, thanks.
Okay, and I'm going to go back to Councilor Lucero because I don't want you to feel like I've stepped on you. So is there something that you would like us to ask all of council regarding your statement?
Yeah, like I said, I think when it comes to that cycle definition to not include motor assisted cycle, and for that definition to sit separate within the bylaw, which is already there. Because I can see it being pulled into enforcement in that way. But if we've gotten legal advice on this and they're saying that should sit in there, that was just my concern when it came to how the e-bike discussion is going to be purveyed out to the community moving forward.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Palmer?
Thank you, Mayor Souls. So the recommendations here are reading first and second. Is that motion's on the table?
Right.
And I'm wondering if we just, in view of Councilor Lucio's question, pass that to the second time. Perhaps staff can take a look at that particular question for when this comes back for third and possible adoption.
Okay, we can do that. So I have a question before we get that far. Golf carts. We get golf carts on the road. I'll get to you in a moment, Councilor Orlando. So in other communities are now utilizing electric golf carts. They're set up like vehicles, signal lights, all that sort of thing. In all seriousness, is that something that this community can look at either now or in the future?
Through your worship, it was something staff contemplated when we were writing this bylaw. I will be honest about that. The discussion was had. At this point, we didn't incorporate any language to allow that within this bylaw. If it is something that council would like to see, we would definitely be open to having the conversation. I think it would be something that would be worthwhile going out for further public consultation. It does have bigger implications. It is something we'd also need to consult with the RCMP on. I am familiar with other communities that do have bylaws that do allow for golf carts and other small electric vehicles to be driven on the road. It does pose some safety challenges. I've spoken with other RCMP about that as well. It does pose some safety challenges, but it's not to say that it's completely off the books. If council would like, it is something we can look at considering in future bylaw amendments. But again, I would recommend that we do some further consultation with the community to see if this is something the community would be interested in.
Okay, so at this point in time, if I can just leave that with you, I don't think we need to make a resolution to do that sort of thing, nor do I need you to spend a bunch of time on that sort of thing. It's just something that I brought up because others have some interest in that, and maybe we can approach that down the road or something. So it's a little hard to put skis on them this time of year to get anywhere. Councilor Orlando, you had your hand up? Councilor Orlando, can you hear me? Councilor Palmer?
Thank you. Looks like he's frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Souls. Your question was actually very similar to my question in a different way. So the hypothetical thing that I made, I suspect it's somewhere in the world already and seeing that evolution. So I think those are very interesting questions. I don't think we want to go down, be on the leading edge of this, the cutting edge. I don't think we even want to be on the bleeding edge of this. I think we should see how it evolves because it's continuing to evolve.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
As more things become electric. Councilor Orlando, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Hey,
I can hear
yeah.
you. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Great. Just a question for Manager Gyps. What changes do you think we will likely see in practicality in terms of street transportation usership with these changes?
Comment, Mr. Gibbs?
Through your worship to Councilor Orlando, I might ask you to clarify a little bit. Are you just referring as far as changes in enforcement or changes as far as the practical or operationally, like signage, things like that along that nature?
Thank you. So changes like something that's permitted now is no longer going to be permitted. Something that is maybe a bit problematic is being clarified. Something that was not in the law is now in the law. Just sort of like practical day-to-day changes in human use of transportation.
Through your worship, staff will take up for the initial implementation period here. Staff will take a little bit more of an educational proactive effort towards this. It's not something we're going to come out swinging day one and say, hey, we're going to ticket everybody on this brand new offense. We will take an education first approach for the first while so that everybody gets used to these new regulations. It is something that, again, there's not any major sweeping changes where suddenly there should be too many big shocks for people. If there are questions and the public do have questions, I do encourage them to reach out to our department, the bylaw department here, to ask away if they're unsure of any of these regulations. But yeah, we will be taking an education approach for this first.
Follow up, Councilor?
Thanks so much for that response. Unrelated question.
Again, we'll just give him a moment. Councilor Orlando, again, your screen is frozen. Can you turn off your image for a moment and just see if you can speak to us?
Hello?
Try again now, Council, please.
Sure. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll keep it short due to audio problems. 19.3, does that include skateboards?
So just looking at that now, Councilor, hang on for just a second.
Through your worship,
The reason being is it's listed. Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Councilor.
It's just that, yeah, it's listed at the top of 19 as skateboards is one of them, and then I'm looking at 19.3, whether that is also included there or meant to be included.
Through your worship, it is not included in 19.3. Skateboards are one that is a little bit of it could be a bit of a safety challenge if they are riding on the road. So it's kind of a balance act, but it does not appear that it would apply to 19.3.
Follow up, Councilor.
Okay, so a question. Sure, if somebody's riding around on a skateboard for transportation, where are they meant to ride?
Through your worship, it would be, in this case, we'd be looking at the sidewalk, as it is not considered necessarily a bicycle or a ski.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the response. However, if I may, through the chair, my understanding is that they're not allowed on the sidewalk.
Follow up.
Through your worship, that would be regulated through this bylaw. So if it is something that, again, if council would like us to look at amending that to add in skateboards, staff would be amenable to that, and we can add that in through second reading.
Okay. So,
Yeah, is that something that needs to be formalized through a motion?
yes,
There's a motion.
Okay, I'd like to make that motion that the word skateboard be added to 19.3.
you want to second that motion? Or you
Yeah,
question
no,
first?
just a point of order, possibly on that. It seems to me if we've got a bylaw in front of us right now, if we did first reading.
Yeah.
As it is right now, I'd hate to be doing things on the fly for our bylaw. So if we do the first reading and then have a second motion afterwards, instructing staff, whatever, for bringing it back for a second reading.
Yeah, okay, let's do that.
If
Are
the,
you okay with that, Councillor Orlando?
Absolutely, sure.
Okay,
we'll move first reading.
you're gonna do first reading. Someone want to second that, please? Councillor Lucio. Now, Councillor Orlando, you want to make a motion?
Motion on the table.
Sure, I'd like to make a motion that,
I haven't called the question. Let me call the question on the first reading and then we'll
oh,
go.
sorry.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Now, Councillor Orlando, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Plum. You didn't ahead of myself.
Yes, sorry.
Go
Sorry, there
ahead.
is some lag, so it's hard to, yeah, there's some lag, so it's hard to tell who's speaking when, apologies. Yeah, so I would like to add, move that the word skateboard be added to section 19.3.
Okay, someone second it. Councillor Cherry is seconding that. Any further discussion on that motion? Councillor Palmer?
I would suggest that staff consider the addition of that so that, and they can come back with a specific recommendation
Okay.
with that.
You okay with that, Councillor Orlando, that staff have a look at that recommendation rather than just place it on and they come back to us?
Sure, that would be great. Can I speak to the motion?
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's my understanding that that is the current system right now. The skateboards under the current bylaw are allowed to be operated like you would a bicycle in the bicycle lane, going with traffic, helmets and lights, etc., all that stuff. So I just would like to preserve that because it is a means of transportation for people.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other comments from council regarding that recommendation? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Councillor Orlando, I'm assuming you're in favor because you made the motion, so I will call that unanimous. And so we'll leave that traffic and highways bylaw because we've done first reading. That will come back, Mr. Gips. Now we're going to move on to the municipal ticket information amendment. Someone want to put that motion on the table for me, please? Councillor Cherry?
With that municipal ticket information amendment bylaw number 2434 be read a first and second time.
Seconder for the motion, please. Councillor Devlin, any discussion on that motion?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
just for clarification, I want to make sure we're able to still move forward with municipal ticket information without the traffic and highways bylaw being finalized.
Yeah, Mr. Gips, can you clarify that for us, please?
Your worship. It will be challenging, but yes, it can be done. Just keeping in mind the next bylaw for consideration, the bylaw fence notice bylaw, along with this one, both include the language for the traffic and highways bylaws. So pending council are planning on making significant amendments beyond the minor adding in language here or there, so we're not renumbering anything, then we can proceed with first and second, keeping in mind that we would need adoption to be concurrent with the overarching traffic and highways bylaw.
Yeah, Councillor Palmer.
Yeah, I'd suggest that once this passes, we just leave it with that and bring the third reading along with the others.
Yeah. Okay, so we have first and second for MTI. All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Bylaw fence notice. Someone want to do that for me?
Just have a question first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is council or staff expecting any other minor changes to the traffic and highways bylaw number 2431?
Councillor Palmer.
I think I heard from Councilor Lucio, I was interested in some changes to the definition.
Yeah.
Which I sort of wondered at the time whether that might be incorporated in that motion already moved, but I think there's enough information that staff will be coming back with what's needed.
Yeah, that's correct. Mr. Jeffs?
Yes, that's correct, Your Worship.
Okay.
So then my only point is if there is to only be that one minor amendment and there's nothing additional, we could move forward with all of this.
So just for
but-
clarification, yeah, I'm gonna go to Mr. Jeffs, just for clarification.
As far as, Your Worship, as far as adopting, you're trying to get through first, second, and third today?
Everything that's in front of us, 1 through 6, I'm just curious if we're just adding one definition, can we not do that now, or is there anticipated more changes coming?
Well, I think we need to have that come back with the traffic and highways bylaw come back before we even move forward on
He
it.
wants them adopted at the same time anyway, so
Yeah.
there's not really any reason to go to third right now because we're not going to third. Like, we still need that break between third and adoption on the first one, so they can just all be adopted at the same time.
Mr. Jeffs?
That's Your Worship. I would agree with Councillor Devlin. Adoption at the same time, so it's all concurrent, would be the ideal approach. Reason being is if we were to amend the bond and MTI bylaw before the traffic and highways bylaw has been adopted, we'd actually be removing our current offenses from the traffic, or our current traffic and highways bylaw, which would mean that that bylaw is essentially non-enforceable until we do receive that third adoption on the traffic and highways, the new traffic and highways bylaw.
Great, so we'll just go to first and second reading and then go from there. So we've got, have I called a question on the MTI?
It's not on the floor.
No, I think the question on the MTI.
Oh,
So you're looking for,
I'm looking for bylaws, someone want to put the bylaw offense notice.
yeah, I'll move that bylaw offense notice amendment bylaw number 2435 be read a first and second time.
Seconded for that motion, please, Councillor Devlin. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried. So we're gonna leave third reading until we see something come back. Okay, Mr. Jeffs? Good. I'm gonna move on to road closure land exchange bylaw. Ms. Floyd, you have a brief overview.
Thank you, Mayor Sauls. So yes, very brief overview. This is basically just a land exchange bylaw that will formalize the Camosi Road realignment.
All right. Any questions? Someone put the motion on the table for me, please. Councillor Lucio.
Move that road exchange bylaw number 2413 be read a first and second time.
Second for the motion, Councillor Palmer. Any discussion on the motion? Councillor Palmer?
Just a question, is this fulfilling previous agreement? It makes sense, but I'm just wondering, is there already a previous commitment from the city for this road exchange, or do we know?
There wasn't there not?
Thank you, Councillor Palmer. I believe that there were verbal discussions. I don't think there was a formal written agreement.
Good. Any other comments? I'll call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? No, motion carried. Item number 2, please.
Move that the road exchange bylaw number 2413 be read a third time and that the opportunity to make representation to council for persons who consider they are affected by the bylaw to be held during the January 13th, 2026 regular council.
Second for the motion, Councillor Palmer. Any further discussion on that? Councillor Palmer?
Just for clarity, that opportunity to make representation, so it would be kind of like a public hearing kind of thing, so someone that wants to speak to it will be able to speak to it at that time.
Is that correct?
We will solicit written comments. However, if council chooses to act as though it's a public hearing, we can do that as well, although it's not. a public hearing.
Yeah, it would seem to me that the way that's written is that they would have an opportunity to speak. I don't anticipate it.
And then, remind me at that time because I have no problem in allowing.
Right, yeah, if there is anybody.
All right, I'll call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Moving on to item E, I'd like to defer this motion until the February 10th meeting. That gives our staff a little more time to do consultation with some of the people who have some concerns. So someone want to second that, Councillor Palmer, and so because I'm deferring, there's no discussion, I'm just going to call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. Moving on to item 11A, resort shuttle contract. Mr. Black, do you have a brief overview on that?
I do not, Your Worship. I'm available for questions.
Okay, good. Someone want to put the motion on the table for me, please? Councillor Devlin?
I will move that the mayor and chief administrative officer be approved to enter into a partnering agreement between the city of Revelstoke, Revelstoke Mountain Resort, and Revelstoke Connection Limited, doing business as Everything Revelstoke for provision of the resort shuttle service beginning on December 1st, 2025 and terminating on the 30th day of November, 2026, with an option to renew for up to 5 additional one-year extensions.
Second for the motion, please. Councillor Cherry. Questions, discussion? Councillor Cherry, then Councillor Palmer.
Just a couple questions through the chair to Director Black. I see that TR has been removed from this and RIA, but MRDT funds are still going forward.
Correct.
What was the funding shortfall? I know it was
The
minimal, but I just,
Resort Accommodation Association was not able to commit up to $55,000, which was what the last year's contracts had in them. And so without that commitment, there was no need to have TR or RA as part of the agreement.
okay. Just another question. With the staff housing now being open at the resort, is there extended hours and more funding coming through RMR?
The service and the schedule has been accommodated to go to staff housing within this budget. And so there has been no additional funding available, but the schedules have been tweaked with both transit and the shuttle to account for riders going to and from staff housing.
Thank you.
Councillor Palmer?
Thank you, Mayor Souls. Just more on the financials. So we had disappointment on the transit, on the financials for this year. I can't remember the details. And could we just have a very, very high level on how this changes from this year going to, to this next year as far as our financial impact? Anticipate that to go.
Ms. Moore, do you have a comment on that? Mr. Black?
It's all right. If council would refer to page 2 and the transit shuttle budget, this breaks down the operating budgets for both BC Transit and the shuttle, including all the revenues and expenses for our contracts and the funding sources that are there. The way we have adjusted the AOA budget, which was the inclusion of up to another, I believe, 8,000 total hours. We are not going to utilize those total hours, and that is identified in about row 5 of this table, which indicates we're only going to do 7,200 hours of BC Transit instead of the 8,000, and the rest of it goes to the shuttle. And these two numbers, with the shuttle hours and the transit numbers, equates to roughly 14,000 service hours for the year, which then addresses our schedule for the remainder of the season, or from December 1st to November 30th.
Follow
Thank you, Mayor Souls. Yeah, specifically, I had that table on page 2 in front of me, and I was trying to get a sense of the difference from the previous year. Perhaps that information could be sent after this time, I guess. I think the big thing is there was a disappointment on the financial performance when we were going through the budget process on transit. And it's definitely not clear. Is it getting worse? Is it getting better? Is it the same kind of thing? So those shortfalls. Maybe a simpler question is how much of this is being subsidized by the local taxpayer, not provincial?
You have a comment on that, Mr. Black?
From the shuttle itself, there is no direct taxation coming to the shuttle. This is all being allocated to DC Transit in the amount of 280,000 roughly.
Follow up, Council?
I'll just let that marinate. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Any further questions? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? No, motion's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Black. Moving on to 2026 budget engagement report. Ms. Moore, do you have a brief overview on this?
Through the chair, I'll just make a few notes before you begin your discussion. So
Okay.
there are 4 motions on the table before you. One is around the taxation increase. I have left that blank for 2026, and council can decide based off of the 3 scenarios. There's also a table to approve the operating spending initiatives.
Okay.
A pre-budget approval for a flex firefighter, and another table to approve capital expenditures, the new ones.
Any questions before we start going through this process? So, Ms. Moore, when you went out to the public, it appears to me that what I saw was 4.5 or 4.75 increase in property taxes. This seemed to be something that was the preferential rate. Can you weigh in on that? Have I got that correct or not?
Through the chair, there's 121 survey responses. Of those, 45 said they agree and 17 said they agree strongly. The rest were either neutral or disagree strongly.
Okay.
So about 50%.
Okay, so council, any appetite to fill in that figure?
Yeah, all right, somebody's gotta get this on the table for discussion.
Okay,
I will move that the city of Revelstoke's 2026 to 2030 5-year financial plan bylaw and future utility user rates bylaws be prepared on the basis of the following. 5.75% increase in property taxes in 2026, 2.5% increase in property taxes in 2027, a 2% increase in each year from 2028 to 2030, 6% increase in garbage user rates in 2026, 6% increase in garbage user rates in 2027, a 4% increase in each year from 2028 to 2030, 4% increase in water user rates in 2026, 4% increase in water user rates from each year from 2027 to 2030, 4% increase in Big Eddy water user rates in 2026, 4% increase in Big Eddy water user rates for each year from 2027 to 2030, 4% increase in sewer user rates and frontage taxes in 2026, and 4% increase in sewer user rates and frontage taxes in each year from 2027 to 2030.
seconder for the motion, please. Councilor Lucelle, discussion on the motion.
Yeah, I'll speak to it.
Sure.
I am still, just to put it very briefly and not to get too much into the weeds, I am still very keen on saving for the future arena multiplex project. I do understand the frustrations of some of the people in the community and some of the people at this table that we do not seem to be making as much progress on the planning as any of us would like as quickly as we would like. I think that is by the very nature of building costs and by the very nature of how large of a scope the planning requires to be. I do recognize that we are currently, we are currently nowhere near what we need to be for even the most basic of projects there. The more we save now, the less it comes down to a taxpayer later. Interests build, money can be put into reserves, money can be used to make more money. We all know this in basic accounting terms, so I see it as a few more dollars a year now means a lot less in borrowing later down the road, but we do need to make some decisions on how we're going to spend that money. And that's kind of my comments on that. So I'm still, as the only difference in the 3 scenarios is how much we put aside for the arena project, I am still on the 2% seems to be what we're doing year after year, and I'm still on that train for now.
Great, thank you for your comments. Any other comments? Go ahead, Councillor Cherry.
Yeah, I'll just add that I'm supportive with the 2% going towards the multiplex redevelopments. We've talked about the rest at large throughout the finance committee. It'd be great if there were other ways to fund our budget, but this is the majority of it.
Yeah.
So we have to make this decision.
Any other comments? Councillor Palmer.
Thank you, Mayor Souls. Again, I'd just like to thank staff for going through this process and getting this early in the game. It's helpful. If there needs to be any adjustments, hopefully we don't forget what we're doing over the Christmas holidays. I will also be supportive of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I agree. I'm supportive as well, and very grateful for the way that we had gone through the budget process this year, and in good time. So, unless there's other questions, I am going to call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? No. Motion's carried. Thank you. All right. Item number 2. Someone want to put that motion on the table? Councillor Cherry.
I move that the following new operating spending initiatives be included in the city's 2026 budget and relative financial plan bylaw as presented.
Okay. Seconder, Councillor Lusau. Any discussion on this motion? Councillor Palmer.
Thank you, Mayor Souls. Again, there's things that we would, I think individually we would like to see. It might be higher priority, but this has been through a process.
Right.
I also note, with the comments from the public, they have ideas. It almost seems to me that we should be asking those questions beforehand, because it's kind of like after the fact, and we don't want to redo the whole exercise, but I certainly appreciate the comments, and maybe we need to consider some of those that we're not implementing at this time for how that affects future budgets. I'm just trying to figure out a way of going through, it's not just going through the motions of public engagement, that we actually hear what they're saying.
Sure.
And that's probably one of my biggest concerns. Thank you.
Thanks for that. Any other comments, Councillor Cherry?
I mean, we could just include all of these comments in the next finance meeting for budget discussions next year.
Could you? Yeah.
You can do that. All right. Any other comments? Seeing none, I will call a question on item number 2. All those in favor? Opposed? Councillor Orlando, you're in favor? Yes. Okay, good. There is that lag time, so this has been approved. Thank you. Item number 3. Someone put that on, Councillor Lusau.
That pre-budget approval for the 2026 be granted for the full-time flex firefighter position.
Seconder, Councillor Cherry. Any further discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? No. Motion is carried. Item number 4. Councillor Lusau.
The following new capital project spending initiatives be included in the city's budget and related financial plan bylaw as per the package.
Someone want to second that for me? Councillor Devlin, any discussion on this? Quite a list, but again, we've gone through that in our finance committee. Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Moore. Appreciate your work on that. Moving on to Heritage Alteration Plan. Mr. Simon, is this your file?
Yes, Your Worship, it is.
Do you have a brief overview, please?
Certainly, Your Worship, call council. So staff have received a amendment to a heritage alteration permit and amendment to a development permit application to add a hotel addition as well as ground floor restaurant addition onto the property known as the Copeland, which is the old McCarty house that is a designated heritage property. So this was originally brought to council back in November 2004 for initial consideration. Council had referred the file to Committee of the Whole for further discussion. On December 12th, council at Committee of the Whole made a resolution recommendation to council directing changes to the design of the roof and the overall building height. And on January 14th, 2025, council adopted a resolution indicating that the required parking variance to facilitate the development was not supported, and that changes related to roof design and overall building height be pursued by the applicant. Staff received a revised application on October 1st, 2025, and the nature of that revised application can be summarized as follows. So there's a reduction in the total number of rooms from 23 to 22. There was a slight increase in the size of the restaurant from 93 square meters to 150 square meters. There's change to the design of the building, including roof lines. So now there are 2 gabled roofs instead of a flat roof, both with a 45-degree pitch to match the existing McCarty house, utilizing standing seam metal to remain aligned with the applicable heritage guidelines. There was removal of the addition that was at the rear of the McCarty house in effort to make room for increased parking. So the total number of parking spaces went from 7 to 11. Originally, the proponent was pursuing a variance in part as well as a combination of cash and lieu contributions due to the reconfiguration of the site with the addition of more parking, coupled with changes that were completed as part of the April 2025 zoning bylaw rewrite project. No variance is required to parking anymore. They require 11 spaces, and they are providing 11 spaces. Their addition has slightly changed in terms of overall siting. It is now pushed forward a little bit to align with the siting of the existing McCarty house. And there has been material change. So originally, if you recall, the first iteration had a brick building proposed with a flat roof. And now they are going to be utilizing horizontal cement lap siding, commonly seen within the heritage area. Council would have seen some recent heritage alteration permits that are utilizing this material. And so the overall changes are still intended to allow the addition to be constructed with more modern materials and building techniques, but ensuring that the overall design kind of reinforces the McCarty house as the focal point for this property. So the rehabilitation of the McCarty house, rehabilitating the porch, all exterior materials, replacing the turret that was removed on the property. That is a key defining heritage characteristic of the existing McCarty house. Is still planned to go ahead as what was originally presented to council back in November 2004. So this file does have the proponent here with us today. If council has any specific questions related to design changes, again, meeting that prior council intent from January 2025, I would make note for council that in staff's review, the proposed application does comply with the applicable Revelstoke Station Heritage Design Guidelines. There is one clause within the design guidelines that speaks towards entryways being 2 to 5 feet above the existing grade, kind of matching the character of a lot of homes that are walk-up homes within the heritage area. That cannot be adhered to. If they do that, it will push the building up a little bit higher. So you can kind of see how the proponent has struggled to still align with the heritage design guidelines as well as the council direction that was previously provided. One other note as well, while the roof line will not exceed, so the peak of the roof is not exceeding the peak of the roof of the McCarty house, council's original resolution from January this year did direct that the roof be no larger than the midway point of the eaves on the McCarty house to the peak of the McCarty house. The report details why that was a challenge for the proponent to ultimately achieve. Again, trying to get that pitched roof on there while making it a project that is ultimately viable from a hotel and restaurant perspective did become quite a challenge. And again, the proponent is here if council wants to unpack that anymore. So staff are recommending issuance of both permits as amended with the revised set of drawings, as well as securities, not just for landscaping, but also a security to ensure that the rehabilitation proceeds as planned.
Council Plummer.
Thank you, Mayor Souls. I'll put the motion on the table.
Sure.
I won't read the entire thing, but I'll read the essence of it. The Heritage Alteration Permit, HAP 2024-002, be issued at 400 and 404 Mackenzie Avenue for the rehabilitation to the existing heritage home and exterior renovations to facilitate the addition of a hotel and restaurant with the site landscaping.
Second for that motion, Councillor Cherry. Any further discussion on that motion, Councillor Plummer?
Yeah, I'd just like to speak to it. I certainly wondered after, we essentially rejected the plans earlier, whether it just wasn't a viable development in respecting the heritage components. But developers have come through with a reasonable approach to that. So I would just like to thank staff for working with the developer on meeting, I think, the intention of the council. Thank you to the developer for working hard on that. I think this is a major achievement for doing that. And even the entrance parts, I think that entrance being down actually tends to bring the building, the feel of the building down, whereas if it was up higher, I think it would feel more dominant. And then I'd especially like to thank the public. The public was a really big impact on this. There was so many people that wrote in, had comments, and I think that's, you know, how democracy and how our process should work. There'll be some people that won't be entirely satisfied with this. For sure, there's elements, I think, of all of us that just like to be the way it always was and not progress. And there's maybe a romantic appeal to that until you actually think about the way things maybe were actually. So I'd just like to again thank staff, the developer, and the community, and for this council for having the bravery to make those sort of tough decisions.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from council? Councilor Orlando?
Yeah, double checking, is my audio coming through okay?
Yeah, your audio is coming through. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Yeah, I'm not going to support the motion as written here. The main thing is in January, council provided direction on the height of the building. So the maximum height of the addition should be the midway point between the peak of the roof and the edge, the soffit section of the roof. This building is essentially the exact same height. It is, in my view, not subordinate. It's also laid out in the council resolution. The resolution was fairly specific, saying steep pitched roof, as well as the maximum of that steep pitched roof would be halfway up there. Halfway between that and it is much higher than that. I feel that council should confirm action on this. So as a result, I will not be supporting this.
Okay, thank you. Somehow he's disappeared. Any other comments from council? Seeing none, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Item number 2. Someone want to put that on?
Sure.
Councilor Devlin?
I haven't talked enough this week. That development permit DEP 2024-004 be issued at 400 and 404 Mackenzie Avenue for the rehabilitation to the existing heritage home and exterior renovations to facilitate the addition of a hotel and restaurant site landscape.
Seconder for the motion, please. Councilor Cherry. Before I go any further with this, I want to make sure for the record, Ms. Delassalle, that on item number 1, Councilor Orlando disappeared from our screen because of his internet, but he was not in favor. Balance of council was. Okay, going on. We've got a seconder now for this one. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? This motion is carried. Item number 3. Councilor Cherry?
Break it up for you. I move that the owner provide security for the due and proper completion of landscaping in the amount of 125% of the amount identified in the cost estimate to the city of Revelstoke in the form of cash or unconditional, irrevocable, auto-renewing letter of credit issued by a Canadian chartered bank or credit union prior to the issuance of the building permit.
Seconder for that motion, please. Councilor Devlin. Any further discussion on that motion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. And item number 4. Councilor Lucen.
I'll do this one. That the owner provides security in the amount of 125% of an estimated cost of works to guarantee the performance of the terms of the heritage alteration permit, such as performance works may include but are not limited to inspections, monitoring, maintenance, labor, and works required to restore the heritage building land and remove any temporary structures. The security is to be provided to the city of Revelstoke in the form of cash or unconditional, irrevocable, auto-renewing letter of credit issued by a Canadian Chartered Bank or credit union prior to issuance of a building permit.
Seconder for the motion, please, Councillor Palmer. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? No, motion's carried. Thank you. I want to say thank you again to Mr. Simon and his team and to the proponents for hearing what we'd asked for. Thank you. We're going to move on to item D, road naming application. Someone want to put that motion on the table for me?
Someone coming up here.
Okay.
Chat about it first.
Oh, Jake, welcome. Let's see if we can ask some questions that you might not know.
Awesome.
That's right. I think every time he sees me, he goes, not that guy. All right, you have an overview for us before we move.
Your worship, sure. This street naming application is part of subdivision at 2455 Mountain Road, and the new roadway needs a name. And the applicant selected the name Alpine, and the staff is supportive of it because it reflects and identifies geographic features outlined in Schedule B of the DS12 policy in Alpine. And the GIS team and fire department are also consulted and have no issue with that.
Great, thank you, Mr. Arnold, appreciate that. Any questions? You want to put the motion on the
Yeah,
table?
motion on the
Councilors?
table.
Okay.
I move that the name Alpine Court be authorized for the construction of a new roadway required as part of subdivision 2025-003 located at Block C, Section 13, Township 23, Range 2, west of the 6th Meridian, Houston District.
Great, second for the motion, Council Palmer. Any further discussion on the motion? I'll just note that Mr. Lamb has gone to Revelstoke Fire Rescue to make sure that they were aware of the name change and they were comfortable with this because we have an Alpine Lane in the community as well, so they were comfortable with that. So thank you for doing that. Appreciate that. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Let's move on to the next one. I'm assuming that's yours as well?
Yeah.
Have you got an overview for us?
Your worship, sure. This streaming application is a part of subdivision at 2104 Airport Way and 775 Echo Road. And the new strata road needs a name. So the applicants select the name Benchlands because it reflects the topographic bench that the neighborhood Benchlands owns, and name Benchlands aligns with the intent of the policy DS12 as it fits within the common geographic related theme of the surrounding streets, such as Park Drive and Forest Drive. Staff have no concern with the request names. Fire department and GIS team are also consulted and supportive of the proposed name.
Awesome. Great. Thank you for that. And I can't tease you about the name Benchlands because we had nobody in our community named Benchlands, so I can't ask if you know their cousin twice removed. So.
Your worship, that's why.
Councillor Cherry.
Move that the name Benchlands Place be authorized for the construction of a new roadway required as part of the subdivision at 1204 Airport Way,
2104.
2104 Airport Way, and 1775 Nickel Road. I'm gonna guess the rest of that's in brackets.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
All right. Seconder, Councillor Lucef. Any further discussion on the name? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Thanks, Jake. Appreciate your work on this.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going on to correspondence. So we have a letter here from the Cycling Association. So any comments on this letter? This has come to us before. We have talked with our CED regarding multi-year funding. We've turned it down before, and I'm not supportive of any multi-year funding. We have lots of other things that are coming forward that we're going to need that funding for. They have been getting grants every year, and I have a whole list of the ready grants and the grants that they've received for trail maintenance So I'm not supportive of that. Any comments from other councils? Councillor Chair.
I just want to thank Alex for coming out and writing us. We've listened, we've read it. We'll see what we can do for you in the future.
Okay.
We appreciate everything that you and the RCA have done.
Councillor Palmer.
Thank you, Mayor Souls. The Cycling Association has certainly raised an interesting question about ongoing funds. And I certainly understand the rationale. I don't think we're going to be doing anything with this at this time. But in comparison, it's a similar complaint that we have with the province on annual funding mechanisms, wanting that security, including some of the tourism funds that, is not necessarily secure. So I think it's something for us to, consider as we look at that criteria and yet fairness within the community and the distribution of funds. What we're doing right now seems to be working reasonably well, not perfect. And so I think it's raised an interesting perspective.
Good. Councillor Orlando.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to address the communication question. One of their concerns was that they did not find out. They were waiting for quite some time, and I'm wondering if we have thoughts to not letting that happen with other applications from other groups or this group in the future.
Good. Any comment from staff on that? Ms. Moffat, do you have any comment?
Through the chair, the only thing I have to say about that is, going forward, I'm trying to set parameters around open and ending applications so we can get them in a couple times a year on more of a steady stream.
Right.
Along with our other grant fundings, and the timing of this one, it went to the CSRD first, then came to me. There were summer holidays, and then we have quite a process with steps I have to take in order to get it to council and back to CSRD. So I can do better with timing for sure, but it does take a few months for sure, like any other grant, before you know if you're approved or not, unfortunately.
Good. All right. Thank you for that. Any other comments from council? Seeing none, we're going to leave that and I'm going to move on. Okanagan Regional Library Board appointments letter. Does someone want to put the motion on the table for me? Councilor Lucy.
I move that Councillor Palmer be reappointed as the City of Reynoldsburg's representative and Councillor Stapenhurst be reappointed as alternate to the Okanagan Regional Library Board until the 2026 general local election.
Is there a seconder for that motion, please, Councillor Cherry? Any discussion on that? They came to us and said they would like an annual appointment letter.
Joe Palmer?
You're very happy with Councillor Palmer.
He's the most quiet of all of us.
Just a quick question. Just want to make sure Councillor Palmer is in support of.
Yeah, through the chair. Yes, thank you very much. This is certainly one of my favorite. I sometimes have said favorite committees to be on. That was maybe offensive to some of the other committees, but I do enjoy it, and I'm a huge fan of the library. I think everyone knows that, and so it's really an honor to continue to serve in that role. And if anybody has any questions or comments about library stuff, I'm happy to have that discussion.
Good. So when I lose a library book, I can come to you and say, how do I get out of that?
Yeah, they're very, very helpful. Very, very helpful in that kind of thing.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, thanks for what you do. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you again, Councillor Palmer, Councillor Stapenhurst. We're going to go on to communications. Mr. CAO, do you feel you have enough voice to?
Yeah, I'll be quick, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. As part of my 360 evaluation, when I met with the consultant and we talked about some of the things the council was looking for, I totally agreed that a CAO update is long overdue. This is the first draft. There's a lot to unpack here. A lot of this stuff is operational, and I'm very hesitant to share every single operational item with council because that is not your role. But on the other hand, living in the community, you'd like to know what's going on. It was also suggested, which I agree, that as we move forward, I'm going to do this monthly. I'm not going to do this weekly, but maybe council only wants it 4 times a year, but I'm committed to doing it monthly. But moving forward, I'd like to align it to our strategic priorities and maybe offer some operational tasks that have been done that align with our strategic priorities and show the objectives that staff are obtaining to deliver some of those strategic priorities, which is not in this report. This is just a kickoff. These are all the things that staff have been working on that are shareable in the public. And so I'm looking for some feedback. I'm recommending we go once a month and we'll try to transition as we identify a lot of the action items in the strategic priority list, which we have 4 main pillars, as council's aware of, so that you are updated on a monthly basis on both what's going on in town and also where our strategic priorities lie. With that, any questions? Thank you.
Mr. Palmer, any questions? Councilor Palmer?
Thank you, Mayor. So through to our CAO, I'm certainly happy to talk with some more ideas beyond this year. You're asking for feedback at this point, so thank you for the update. I agree that aligning it with the strategic priorities is a bigger thing for me. And saying on sort of that high level, this is helpful in maybe more detail than what I need on the operational stuff, but it's nice to know things that are of community interest so that we, it's a tough thing because you get, how much information do you give, what becomes a public issue. I understand that. So, but that's really helpful to have that so that we're stopped on the street. Well, where did this come from? I've never heard of it before. So that's helpful in that sense. So thank you very much for the report, and I'll look forward to, I think having them monthly is a really good thing. Thanks.
Any other comments? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Cronin. I appreciate you bringing that forward. Environmental Advisory Committee meeting minutes, Councillor Stapenhurst's committee, who's not here. So I'm not going to go into that at that point unless there's other councillors that want to. Seeing that, I'm going to move on to Youth Advisory. Councillor Rousseau.
Thank you, Mayor Souls. We welcomed the 2 new members onto the committee. We had a report from Samantha Green, the new youth liaison coordinator, about how she is engaging with the youth in high school and looking to establish a high school youth advisory council, just to more easily get their opinions to then bring back to the youth advisory committee. And then we had a presentation from the Basin Youth Network about their path forward and how they're supporting community youth networks within the basin.
Great, thank you. Any comments from council? Seeing none, going on to governance committee. All the things that were on the governance committee agenda has been dealt with here in council. Public notice policy, notice of motion, and the council conference policy. Any comments from council? Seeing none, going on to advisory planning commission minutes. So Councillor Cherry.
Thanks. I just want to say thank you to Giles Lucier. This will be his last meeting he's attended with us. He's been on the committee for at least 3 or 4 or 5 years. Been on for a long time. It's been great working with him. The committee continued their conversation about merging the Heritage Commission along with APC. Draft bylaw review is ongoing with both commissions. The second item they looked at was OCP Amendment 2025-001 and Zoning Amendment 2025 and 006. This has already come up in front of council. I believe we have a future public hearing on it.
Yeah.
Their comments are within the package.
All right, thank you. Any comments from council? Seeing none, moving on to Rose-Logan Area Economic Development Commission meeting minutes. Councillor Orlando.
Thank you. Thank you. Unfortunately, I was in transit back from Housing Central when this meeting happened, so I was not there, but as is outlined in their staff updated the committee on several projects. worth noting the airport project tech strategy, the West Side Road, section 17 process, the ongoing cultural planning, which is out for RFP, and as well as the backcountry recreation access plan. It's a very busy department with a lot going on, a lot of administrative projects as well as practical initiatives that they are pursuing. Since I wasn't there, I don't have a lot more detail other than what's in the report in front of you, but that's it in a nutshell.
Great. All right. Thank you. Any other comments from council? Seeing none, moving on to Multipurpose Facility Advisory Committee.
Sure.
Councilor Lucille, Councilor Cherry.
Yeah, so we met, we had a presentation from Darren regarding the survey that's going to be going up to the community. That's going to show cost, tax implications, footprint, just to get people's opinions on how we look at replacing the arena and what additional amenities we want to have added to the building.
Great. All right. Any comments? Seeing none, I'll move on to Public Art, Councilor Cherry.
Thanks, Marcel. We had a number of projects come in front of us. Ongoing conversations about the wind phone project for the Revelstoke Hospice Society. They're looking for a new place to put this. It's looking like it's going to, well, they're looking like they found it at home. The city artwork is back up for consideration. We're looking to renew the contracts with the current artists. New project that was looked at was the Selkirk Mountain Experience mural project. I believe that one was deferred. And then we're looking at another community art project in the community center in the far back left corner. So we're looking at different proposals for that.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. Any other comments from council? Seeing none, we're going on to Social Development Committee, Councilor Lucille.
Thank you, Mayor Sills. We had a presentation from Matthew Lawson, the ED for Community Connections, regarding our temporary winter shelter. It's expanded from 4 rooms the last couple of years to 10 rooms this year, with staff on site up at the Frontier, 7 days a week. Talk about how the policies regarding it as a dry facility, as they don't have clinicians on site. And yeah, the concerns of that, as well as the need for a location for an extreme weather response. So if the temperature dips below a threshold, how we can support getting people out of their vehicles and off the roads into somewhere safe to stay for the night. We had a presentation from Ms. McIsaac regarding the living wage, and that increased. That had changed to include 2 vehicles per household, which work towards that increase in the living wage. Part of that is on our grocery prices, which through the calculations, they use a generalized price. Ms. McIsaac has compared those prices versus our prices here in town. And next year's living wage will incorporate more localized grocery prices, because we would have seen our living wage increase on what was published. And then, yeah, we talked about developing a poverty reduction working group to help with Ms. McIsaac's project and the support of key community members for that to happen. Those are kind of the big ones from that.
Thank you for that. Any other comments from council? Moving on to Public Infrastructure Committee. So we talked about a few things regarding that composting grant and the delays. Still waiting for that to come through. Hasn't come through yet, has it, Mr. Black?
No, Your Worship, it has not.
And that will actually, it's submitted for the grant procurement portion of the project. Talked about stormwater master plan. Ms. Lindsay summarized that, the recent work she's been doing. Oak Drive and Townley connectors, spoke briefly about that traffic impact assessment and the safety around that, which we all are aware of. And then the invasive plant report, which Columbia Shuswap Invasive Species Society is doing work within our community. And Mr. Black recapped the Night Sky Initiative, the difference between the night new compliant lighting and directing light on the roadway versus the old lighting where everything goes into the sky. Talked briefly about a letter from a resident regarding pedestrian safety along 7th Street, and briefly did the latecomer agreement discussion, which we'll have more on coming in February. Any other comments from Council Chair?
If Director Black doesn't mind, I'd like to tee him up to give council a quick brief update on the Townley Oak Drive connector and what was discussed. If you're okay with it, just so we're all on the same page.
Oh, no, let's get a new coat.
Look what you've done. Yeah, I feel bad now.
You're gonna buy me a new coat.
Council budget.
Your worship in council, briefly, as part of the Johnson Heights a walkabout project, the developer was required to do a traffic impact analysis. In brief, that analysis indicates that in the next 10 years that all those intersections, Townley and Oak, will be at a level of service D, E, or F. Typically, I would not worry about a D. That just means peak hour, you're gonna wait a little while to get across the intersections. We do know that there's frustration right now and it's a level of service C. So we know in 10 years or so, it's going to be bad. The real emphasis here is that that connector becomes more and more important so that we do not have to impact the highway, nor does development have to impact or be impacted by making improvements to those intersections. So if we can fund the bypass or the connector, then the Ministry of Transportation would have to deal with Oak and Townley as their project, and then we can move forward with the connector. So that is in very, very brief summary. It's going to get worse, so we need to do something about it to keep our residents off of the highway and allow access to the community without entering the highway.
Great. Well,
no, I just want to say I appreciate all that info for council. Everybody wasn't able to come to the Public Infrastructure Committee. This is a community priority. So,
Councilor Orlando, you have a question?
Yeah, just in terms, thanks for the update from Director Black. Residents, especially in Johnson Heights, are particularly interested in this. Definitely supportive of the idea of a connector. In terms of residents, other people who live up there, or anyone who's interested in this, what are going to be the next stages where they can find out more, hear more? What is sort of the timeline on this?
I believe the outcome of the PIC meeting was to direct staff to move forward with prioritizing this project in our long-term capital plan and to develop the funding, as currently I do not believe it is in our long-term financial plan. And so we need to focus that finances and effort in order to achieve this result.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Councilor Orlando, do you have a follow-up?
No, Your Worship, thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, Heritage Advisory Commission, Councilor Cherry, is there anything?
Just one item on the table, ongoing discussions about merging the Advisory Planning Commission and the Heritage Advisory Commission.
All right,
That's it.
thank you. And then the last item on this, the Okanagan College Revelstoke Center. So Dr. Facina had sent me a letter basically telling me some of the updates. So they no longer will have open hours at OC Revelstoke Center.
Sorry, Mayor Sauls.
Yes.
Apologies. If there's going to be discussion of this item, I work at Okanagan College part-time, so it's an employer. So I would recuse
I don't think you need to be, Councilor Orlando, I don't think you need to recuse yourself. It's a public document that was sent just about what their hours are going to be. And at some point in the future, I'm going to ask, I've asked staff to contact Dr. Facina to just give us an in-person update. It doesn't affect your presence here at all. It's just basically they're cutting back their hours and wanted to let us know. That's all.
No, I appreciate that. I've read the letter. I just wanted to say, if there is going to be discussion, I should recuse myself.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention. That's all. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. I'm going to go, Ms. Delaselva, do we have any questions from the press?
No questions from the press, Your Worship.
Right, Council, I'd like to go in camera pursuant to section 90.1A, E and G of the Community Charter. Someone want to make the motion for me? Councillor Devlin, Councillor Lucial, all in favor, motion's carried. We'll come back in camera. We'll take a few minute break and come back in camera. Thank you.